No.
Yes, I have notes because I wrote an introduction. In this game, you are going to look at modern day clothing, high-end fashion brands mostly. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Weekend Talk, the show that brings professionals in cultural heritage directly to you. As always, this episode is brought to you by Save Cultural Heritage Group. I'm your host, Megan Kamoric, and I am an archaeologist and Egyptologist currently based in London. Today, I am joined by a South African anthropologist who is exploring the non-verbal dialogues of clothing and how they can convey violence in particular groups. But what does all that mean? Well, let's talk about it. Hi, Tumi. Welcome to Weekend Talk.
Hi, Megan. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
It's great to have you on the show.
Lovely to be back.
Now, for you and for those watching, this episode, as always, is split into 3 segments. The first segment is introductions, followed by a quick Q&A. I say quick, but questions will arise that I probably did not plan for, so you and I can both be on our toes for that one. The second segment is entertainment, and I've made a game for you that will revolve around fashion, history, culture. I think it's going to be really fun. And then finally, I will roll out the red carpet for you, and you can give us a shout out of where to find you, what projects you're working on, and anything else in between. Does that sound good to you?
That sounds good.
Perfect. Well then, Tumi, tell us more about you.
Wow. My name is Tumi, as you said. I am South African. I'm currently still based in South Africa as well. A lot of my work is also based on South Africa. Okay, I guess my dog wants to say hi too.
Hi.
I'm a dog mom. Here we go.
That is so cute.
And thank you. I studied at the University of Witwatersrand, which is here in Joburg. I did my undergraduate in anthropology there, as well as political sciences. And then I went and did my honors there as well in anthropology. And now I'm currently doing my master's with the University of South Africa. Still doing anthropology. So I'm clearly an anthropologist at heart.
That's always nice to hear. Sometimes people have to go into linguistics and archaeology, and I'm like, no, anthropology is still a good, just stay there and enjoy everything that you can from it.
I was very lucky, found it first year and fell in love and stuck with it.
That's the dream, love at first sight.
Isn't it?
So tell us more about your current research. What is your thesis or dissertation looking like?
Currently, my research is based on African masculinity and how that's been influenced by Western concepts and how that kind of just adapted in Africa right now and what's going on, because there's a very high gender-based violence rates, especially here in South Africa. So I was just kind of interested in finding out why and what is going on. What are we doing so wrong? So that is what my current research is on. But my previous research, as you mentioned, was on fashion and material culture, and I had so much fun with that. It was amazing.
I can imagine. Have you found a way to blend the two together, your past research with fashion and this current research project that you're endeavoring on?
Well, that is something that I've been thinking about and something that I'd like to do for my PhD. And I guess we can say that with fashion, there are some designers that do kind of influence the darker side of you, and maybe that brings on like the violence in you. So stay tuned for that. Hopefully I can figure that out.
I think we're going to have a great time then in our entertainment section, because there is one piece I wanted to talk to you about, because I think it's a great example of how Western society especially romanticizes violence and puts it in clothing. So I think we're going to have a great time with that one. We might never get to the rest of the segment.
I'm excited.
Good. So I was going to ask in general, what did you notice? Were there any trends that you saw come up in your research for that you might see in modern society today, or even in ancient societies? Like, were there any crossovers?
Yeah, there were actually. I figured out that in ancient society as well as in modern society, your clothing actually says quite a lot about your status and where you belong in the community. And I mean, here in South Africa, we have quite we've got like the poor side and we've got the rich side, and then the middle class is there, but you know, you always want to belong to the rich side. And I feel like it was the same back in the day as well. You know, it's a very distinguished way of like seeing, okay, who was rich, who was not, who was royalty, who was not. And I think that just getting your hands on well-known pieces, or pieces that show a lot of gold and diamonds and all of that, that shows your status, or it shows at least where you'd like to belong. You know, even if you can't afford it and you're in the middle class and you try and get like that little blingy watch or something, it's showing people that you want to belong into the higher status. So I think that was one of the commonalities that I found, that lower class people and higher class people, there will be something in their clothing that shows where they come from, what their status is. And that still shows today. I mean, we can see it in amongst our friends, you know, Gucci versus fake Gucci and whatever.
That is so true. I can't tell you how many times I'm trying to like find a bargain and I'm like, why do I even need this designer shoe? I don't. The only thing I need is a good quality shoe that can get me through the day.
And it kind of sucks because you fall in love with the designer shoe.
Yes.
I know.
I need a high quality knockoffs, people. Let's work on this.
Can we please?
Yes. I was going to ask further about this because it's always interesting to hear about people that study material culture and what resources they use to study that. Now, of course, you could look at written accounts of what people were wearing, what people were saying they bought, or what they saw someone wear at a gala or a party. But as far as actual material goes, a lot of it comes from archives and museums. But there's this idea of a survival bias where the things that preserve are actually things that weren't necessarily worn all the time in the past. That's why they were able to survive. Did that ever come into your research at all? Did you ever kind of consider this survival bias per se?
I actually did not have like the opportunity to get into that, but that is something that I've always wondered, you know, because a lot of the things that do survive, like you said, are things that are not worn a lot. So we are lucky to, I guess, still have them there and still be able to view them, but we can't really say much about them. But, you know, I mean, they're there for us to figure out. And I think the nice part is we also have images, you know, with people wearing certain things back in the day, although that is also very limited. We don't have a lot of them, but there are some that are there. And thankfully, in modern times, our cameras are getting better. So our great grandkids will be able to show their kids what we were wearing, hopefully.
For better or for worse on that one.
Yeah. Open to judgments.
Exactly, as always, as it should be. I think the greatest thing as an anthropologist is as the unbiased critique, where you can genuinely look at something, and as much as you could personally say, well, that's a choice, you could also just accept it as that choice of that time and then explore it further as in what did it mean then and what can it mean for us today.
Definitely. And I think a good example of what it meant then and what it can mean today is thrifting. I mean, I don't think a lot of people realize that thrifting is us preserving a certain type of culture. You know, that jacket that you got for $5 instead of 500, there's a story behind it. And now you're just adding to that story.
That is so true. I can't tell you how many times I've been complimented on a random piece and I have to say like it's my grandmother's or it's my husband's grandmother's. And it's become like a running joke now in my family where they're like, oh, you're just turning into grandma. I'm like, yes, if they ever pass away, they will just be re-embodied. It's fine.
Exactly. You are preserving our material culture. Thank you.
You're welcome. I guess it goes to show that we truly do live on in what we leave behind, whether it's material culture, written language, a story, something, anything that we do in this time will probably be studied by anthropologists in the future.
It will be. And I think that's so exciting for me because that's what drew me to history and anthropology as a young girl. You know, I'd be reading all these stories about what happened back in the day. I'm like, well, I kind of want to have a say. I want to be in that. So it's really cool that we get to contribute, whether we know it or we don't, you know.
Exactly.
It happens. Yeah.
So considering obviously like what we leave behind and your research right now looking at how Western society has influenced the ideas of masculinity, what have you seen that might be an indirect influence versus the like need to whitewash something or rewrite a history or assimilate a culture, what are some things that has been done by Western societies that are indirectly influencing other cultures that you've looked at?
I think something that we overlook a lot is that when we were colonialized mostly by men, and they came over the side and they did the fighting and the separating and all of that, and the women were home. And whether we want to realize it or not, that gender role and that like performativity kind of like instilled its way now, and it's happening now where women still are at home, especially here in Africa. A lot of women are still at home, although, I mean, times change and we are trying to be the independent bad bitches that we want to be. But sometimes culture does hold you back, and sometimes the situation that you're in holds you back. But generally, men still kind of have that mentality of like, I want to go do the fighting and all of that. And it's like, okay, well, relax, but it's an indirect influence as well that we just didn't realize, that these people came and wanted to take over a country. And I guess if you're looking at it in a male-female relationship, a male wants to come and take over his country, which would be the female.
Yeah, that's extraordinary, because I don't think a lot of people do think about those things.
No, we don't.
It's so subtle. Yeah,
it's
it can be so
subtle.
subtle for us. Yeah.
And it shows up like in a lot of writing where countries are called she, they're called females because they can be supposedly taken over the same way that a human female can be.
Exactly. And it's always interesting when you look at the English language, let's say, and you do have a gendered language, even though we don't want to admit it ourselves.
Yeah.
But we definitely call things that we can control more feminine names, and things that we dominate more masculine names.
Yeah.
And it's only that very rare occasion where it's either Mother Earth or it's the sea. It's like the mother of the ocean, and that's the things we can't control. But then it comes into this idea that basically what you can't control is just a crazy woman. Then I was basically saying that yes, we have that gendered thing where if it's subjugated, it could be a feminine name, or if it's dominating, it could be a masculine name. But then you have those occasions where something that you can't control, such as the weather or the sea, gets a feminine name. And it mostly derives from the fact that, women can be so emotional, like they can be so unpredictable and crazy. And I'm like, we can't even get like a good
can't
thing.
Win. Like, no. Oh my goodness, can't we just win?
I wish.
I've been crossing my fingers for years now.
Start crossing your toes. It's going to be extra luck.
I can only hope so.
So besides all of this research that you've been doing, which I can only imagine has been taking up much of your time.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
What do you do on your free time? Have an adorable dog.
Well, as you've seen, Asa keeps me really busy. That's his name. He keeps me super, super busy. He is very jealous. But besides that, I am also a big sister. So I help out my mom with my little siblings, drop them off at school and all that fun stuff. And I also help out my dad at his company at the moment, because finding a job is supposedly supposed to be easy after you graduate, but it's been proven otherwise.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat, so don't worry. I like to say after you get your master's, it gets easier, but
it doesn't. It's really, really tough. But yeah, that is what I do with my time.
How would you say that your free time has influenced your research, if it has, like the world around you? How does it inspire and motivate your research currently?
I think it's actually inspired it quite a lot. I have a little brother and he is just always so busy. And so my time involves picking him up and dropping off at soccer and all of that. And I just always wonder, what do these young boys talk about? Because you go from being 14 and playing soccer and so innocently crushing on a girl or whatever, to being now 24 and being a rapist or whatever. What is that change that happens? So I always find it so interesting, just observe what they do and what they say. And so I'm just being a nosy little sister, but blaming it on research.
I mean, it's always for science, isn't it?
Duh.
If there was anything else that you would want someone to know regarding either the like toxic masculinity or clothing expression or anything that you've researched, what is the one thing that you wish that people in the general public, or even just me who hasn't studied it, should know?
Well, I just want to say that when it comes to material culture and it comes to fashion, it's really nice when you guys can like save your pieces of clothing and post them onto your kids, not just for, them to be like, oh my gosh, how cool, but for researchers that may want to also do their research or whatever back in that time. And I think that it's important to know that, whether you know it or you don't know it, you're subconsciously adding on to a certain culture. A lot of people don't know a lot about material culture. It's quite like, it's a part of culture, but it's a part of culture that is not really discussed that much. And so I think that's why a lot of people didn't even know that fashion is a part of material culture, and it adds on to the story and it adds on to who you are and traditions and everything. So whether you know it or you don't, you are writing history in your own little way. So why not let your kids in or your future family in by keeping something?
I love it. Couldn't have said it better myself, honestly. That was great. Well,
Thank
then
you.
I guess that's a great way to move on to our entertainment section. Are you ready to play a game?
Yes, let's go.
Okay. I have notes because I wrote an introduction.
I'm
Okay,
ready. I hope I win.
let's do this. So fashion trends have always been inspired not only by the world around us, but also by what has come before. In this game, you are going to look at modern day clothing, high-end fashion brands mostly, and
Yay.
you're going to have to tell me what culture inspired these items of clothing.
Okay.
Now, of course, this can bring up topics of cultural appropriation versus inspiration. And if we want to have those conversations, we are more than willing to do so because, we can talk. We talk about things.
Let's go. I'm
Cool.
ready.
So you're ready? Then perfect. I will have the first image sent over to you then.
Okay.
And I'll tell you right now, it is by designer Zuhair Murad, and it's their 2020 collection. And
Ooh.
it's a dress that I am obsessed with. So
Oh my goodness. Okay.
yes, there you go.
Wow.
Yes,
Oh wow. This is beautiful.
isn't it?
Okay. I
So
think this is. Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say, like, if you need a hint, obviously, like you have as many hints as you want.
Okay. Well, I think I'm gonna guess and say it was inspired by Egypt.
It was, and
Very on brand of you to choose this as the first image.
I know, I was like, okay, we'll start with the classics and then we'll delve to more interesting topics. Loosely inspired by an image of Nefertari, who was Ramses II's
Ooh.
wife. And it's basically an image of her playing a board game in this beautiful dress and necklace. And
Oh
if
wow.
you see it and then you see this, it is very similar and just top tier.
I love it. She looks so royal and ready to take over the world. That's what I love.
And the fashion show was brilliant because they had all the lights off and then this did a spotlight on her coming down. So it just shimmered. And then only when she got like midway did all the lights kind of come on and flood the area.
Oh my goodness. Now I have to find it.
Yes, I will send you a link.
Thank you.
All right, then. So you did well on number one, but are you ready for number two?
Yeah, I hope so.
Okay, we'll send it over to you. And the clue is it's by Dior Cruise in their 2020 collection. Oh no, 2022 collection. Ooh, it's even more modern.
Ooh. Ooh. Okay. This looks like it was inspired by um like an Arabic place, something like that.
It is a
Yeah.
Mediterranean culture, so it is Greece. And the
Ooh.
reason it is Greece, a scholar, Amanda Haley,
Ooh.
she basically talks about the ancient Greek garments and how they're made up of three pieces. So you would have that main garment she's wearing is like a chiton, which is this loose fitting fabric.
Yeah.
And then you could have like peplos, which is a peplum to kind of bring up more ruffles. And then
Mm-hmm.
not pictured here is a himation, I believe. And it's basically those really nice capes that you see that are
Oh
worn.
wow. That's
Um,
amazing.
yeah, so this designer ended up doing this in a Colosseum, I believe, and
Mhm.
had them walking around, obviously taking inspiration from the drapery, and then sort of the military metal designs of
Yeah,
bracelets
the
and
curved
armor.
folds and everything. Oh wow,
Yeah, and
stunning.
if you look closely, they're actually wearing trainers. So I thought that was really fun that they're
Oh
just
wow.
out in tennis shoes.
I mean, we love to see it. The more comfortable, the better, right?
Exactly. Okay. This one I think will probably be a lot easier. It's very on the nose. So this is number 3,
Okay,
and
let's see if I
by
get it.
it's Moschino Pre-Fall 2019. And this is the one I said is the romanticization of war and violence.
Oh yeah, definitely with the breast plate there, you can see. Oh goodness. But I'm loving that it's a woman that was sent in.
Oh yeah.
I think the inspiration comes from Rome. Yeah, with
So
the
they bought
gold you can see there
heavily
with the
that romanticization of gladiators, of Roman battle text. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And they do this because if you look at Roman designs and Greek designs, they can tend to be misidentified by people that
Mm,
don't study it. And it's because the Romans took a lot from the Greeks. So the way that we separate the two is by playing very heavily on Roman battle regalia. And then you get things like this that romanticizes the violence and
it
the
does.
the bloodshed with the red of the Roman Empire.
It does. And I mean, this just reminded me of a trend that I saw that was going on this side. Probably like just before the pandemic and everything, where a lot of the youth were wearing like bulletproof vests or whatever as fashion. It was very weird, I'm not gonna lie. But that was also something that I just the breastplate reminded me of that. And I was like, that is also romanticization, sorry, of violence.
And it's so cool that you can see it in, I mean, I shouldn't say cool, but it's so fascinating to see it portrayed both in the past and the present, and how
Yeah.
we do have this romanticization of strength,
Yeah.
of the ability to destroy. And then
Mm,
we see things like creation and the ability to preserve as more of a weaker trait. So
it is
I
very,
find,
very, very cool. But
yeah,
you
so
know.
I find when they blend the two together, where it's loose fabrics and then very hard metals, I'm like, okay, I like the balance. You're doing okay.
And I mean, funny enough with this, when you said something about strength, I'm like, they're trying to tell us that women should be strong and, you know, showing how strong we can be and everything. And then adding that softness with the fabric. And it's like, with strength, why do we always have to show it? But like juxtaposition it with softness when it comes to women. But when it comes to men, it's just be strong. It's
Yes.
just like strength all the way. There's no other
Yes,
option.
if women don't play both parts, then somehow we're less than other women.
Yeah, and I mean, it's exhausting world.
It is. Well, we have 3 powerful women in image 4 that I think you would like. So the next image is by a Indian fashion label called Ashima Leena, and it's the Fall Winter 2016 collection.
Okay. Oh wow. This one's a bit hard. This one's knocking me a bit.
It's okay. It is an ancient culture. They are a very big ancient culture. So if you think of just like your top tier ones, you can guess on one and it could be probably close.
Is it like monks and stuff like in Asia? Because they used to love the robes as well.
It's kind of in that area. So like obviously if you think of Tibet, it's ancient Persia. So it is that mix between, you know, you have your Arabian Peninsula and you
Yeah.
have your Asian minor. So like you have those
Yeah.
areas. And
Oh
that is
wow.
where you get that beautiful color, the texture, the patterns. And
Yeah.
the designer, Lena Singh, I believe her name is, she titled this The Fragrance of Persia. And she wanted to celebrate the precious treasures and traditions of Persian culture. And she wanted to bring it together with contemporary and classic designs and cuts. And I think they did a great job.
I think so too. I love the color.
Yes. And the whole entire fashion show for this one had various colors. So it wasn't even just traditional reds and oranges, but they had like the bright blues and the purples and
Oh,
greens.
I'm sure that was stunning.
Yes. And she definitely went with like the monochrome idea of like pairing similar colors together or the same variation of color. And I think it played really well with that modernization of how you're going to present an outfit.
I definitely think so too, because that is something that was very big amongst us.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's coming back. We're like, oh, we want to do monochrome, but we want to do it with shades of blue.
Yeah, it definitely is. I love it. It's gorgeous.
What outfit would you have to pick if you could choose just one?
Oh my goodness, I think I'd have to go with the first one. I
Yeah.
definitely think I'd have to go with the first one, just so I can be a queen for a bit.
Oh, exactly. Everyone wants to just be that queen for a day. Don't care who you are, what gender you are. Let's all just be queens.
No, let's all just, walk around with no cares in the world.
Exactly. Okay, number 5, I think you're going to like, hopefully. It is a fashion house called Imprint, and it's from the 2019 collection.
This is looking, okay, I was going to guess a little bit of South Africa, but those patterns are not South African.
It's a mix. It's close. It's South African and something else. It is, the designer is, Mzukisi Mbane. I think I butchered that name. Sorry, internet. Please leave a comment below on how to really pronounce that for my foreign tongue. But yeah, it is a bit of South African. I believe he is from a culture. Oh, what's the tribe? It's Xhosa. How would you say that?
Xhosa.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to try. I'd rather just learn from the best. Yes. So thank you. So their collection basically was trying to celebrate his family's heritage, his ancestry, his culture. He's a South African designer who obviously pulls from that. As you can see, it has some elements of his South African upbringing, but it also has his ancestral patterns and colors. And he said he wanted to mix the prints of the cultures with modern and vintage silhouettes because he just wanted to celebrate the beauty of fashion while honoring the ancestry. And he even said that he did all these designs just with his mother's old Singer sewing machine because he didn't know how to sew and he just taught himself.
Oh my goodness, that is so cool, actually.
Yeah, he's brilliant. Yeah, have a look. Definitely recommend. A lot of the clothing too is very sustainable and incorporates a lot of modern textiles that are made in South Africa. So I highly recommend.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Right. I love the use of like the colors also. It's just stunning.
It's gorgeous. He has one suit that is all just yellow, but the way that he has tailored each piece is brilliant. And he has it just walking through the streets of a town, and you can just see the contrast of his environment reflecting off of the suit. And I went, I want that.
I think that's when designer's done a really good job. When you see something, you just go, I want that. That's when I would feel like mission accomplished.
Exactly. So the next photo also plays on very pretty patterns. And the designer is Anita Lara. And I think you're going to like this.
Oh, stunning. Oh, my goodness. Okay. Well, I think the patterns are still based in Africa. Not Nigeria. Maybe Zimbabwe.
So the fun catch is this actually is Guatemalan.
No.
Yes. So I think a lot of people tend to, when you think of South America, you tend to obviously think of how the West has made South America look. But the indigenous cultures also have what South Africans and a lot of Africans have, which are bright, vibrant colors that play off of their environments. So this designer she made her fashion house in 2015, and she basically uses every pattern that she uses is hand woven in Guatemala using native textiles. Yeah, and she'll basically employ locals to make these with her. She obviously makes the silhouettes, and you can buy them online, which is really cool. She ships internationally, and she just wants to basically make fashion not only sustainable but also preserve, like we were talking recently, preserve the culture of the past while making it something that modern people would want to wear.
I love the fact that she gets help from the people around her, because I'm sure that must add to it the inspiration and the colors and the patterns and everything, And I mean, as a fashion designer in an area like Guatemala, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Don't kill me.
No,
I'm sure it's very it's probably cheaper for designers to get workers and everything from China or outside. So to work from your community it's very lovely to see.
yeah, I think they always do a great job in Guatemala. I worked in Belize on the border of Guatemala, and what I saw is the community comes together exponentially when it comes to cultural
Oh, wow.
projects like this.
Yeah.
So when I was excavating there, they actually gave people time off just to excavate. So they would get 3 months off of work just to go and help the excavators preserve culture. And then they would have their job right back where they left it 3 months later. And it was the best thing I've ever witnessed. So yeah, it's always great to see how local designers can just not only take inspiration from their culture, but also involve the community around them. And this next designer really plays heavily on her ancestral roots. And the designer, I'm not even going to say the designer because it might give it away. The only clue that I will say is that this was worn by Rihanna for a Met Gala once.
My favorite celebrity, huh? Oh my goodness, I remember this look. Okay, I remember this look. As for where it was inspired from, though, I don't know if I know that.
The clue could be, if you remember the Met Gala, the designer was actually represented in the Met Gala that year. So their work was present in it. That's why the theme of that year, Rihanna went with this dress, because she was like, well, of course I have to go with this designer. Their work is in the museum.
Oh my goodness. Okay. We had Egypt already. I don't know. I'm gonna give up on this one. No ways. How could you do this to me?
I know, the final image. How could I? At least Rihanna wore it, so it's fine.
It's okay.
This is influenced by ancient China, and the designer is Guo Pei. This was the 2010 collection, and 5 years later, Rihanna ended up wearing it for, obviously, the Met Gala that was basically showing the beauties of Asia and of China.
Yeah, I remember this dress, but girl, I didn't know all that.
Yes, I mean, I honestly, I was like, I loved the dress when it first came out, but I was like, oh, I wanted to look up more. And then I saw this runway look, and I went, I like the extra frill on the front with what looks like pants or a dress, and I'm like, that's great.
It's amazing.
The designer basically they want to do a modern message of their cultural heritage. And they say that they like to breathe new life into embroidery and painting traditions that date back thousands of years, showcasing the finest of tradition Chinese craftsmanship while incorporating contemporary, innovative Western style. They are a very passionate artisan who wants to evoke people's emotions and inspire people through their art.
I love that. That's amazing. I mean, it is a very modern look on the ancient China, but it's still stunning as ever.
Exactly. I think that was a great way to show just that Western influence that the designer speaks about, while still embracing.
It's still so evident, because I mean, when you think about China, we don't always think something like that. So it's very lovely to see.
Yeah, it's great to see how designers can reinterpret what it means to be a part of their culture, and it's always just on their terms.
And I mean, I think it also makes it so much more relatable to the youth and people our age, because we're like, oh, okay, well, we see how it relates to us now, instead of just seeing the old stuff and you're like, oh, why am I looking at old stuff? But now you can kind of see and have it adapt to who you are and where you are in life right now. And I think that's amazing.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better, as always, taking the words right out of my mouth. But perfect. Okay, well then, congratulations, you survived the entertainment section.
Oh my goodness, and not too bad.
No, you did very well. I'm very impressed.
Yay, thank you.
But of course, then that just leaves me to roll out the red carpet for you. So tell us where to find you, what you got going on in your life, and share anything else you want to share before we have to say goodbye.
Oh, okay. Well, guys, you can all follow me on my Twitter as well as my Instagram. It's the same it's at Tumi Dolamo _ That's where I basically share snippets of who I am, snippets of myself, my life, what I do on a daily basis, as well as some of my thoughts on academic stuff and what's going on in the world. So you don't only get the academic side of me, but you get the personal side of me as well. Not too much though, just a little bit.
Leave us a side
And
of mystery.
yeah, gotta be a little bit mysterious sometimes. And yeah, that is my social media. As for what I have in the future, I've obviously got my dissertation coming up, and I'll hopefully make that available to everyone. And I would like to work on creating a little blog or something where I can just like also have like little mini research projects that I do that I find interesting, and yeah, just have a little community of readers, I guess, where we can come up with topics and research those topics and give my opinion and my view on it. And besides that, no more dogs. The one is enough. I'm a dog mom of one, and that's it. But yeah, that is what I have coming up.
I loved all of that. I mean, maybe another dog would be nice, but no one has time.
No, Megan, maybe for you, girl.
No, I have a cat, and even then I'm just like, I love dogs, I love puppies, love all of it, but I don't have time.
No, it takes a lot of time, and we're already busy as is.
Exactly. Well, you're obviously more than welcome to come back on the show if you ever have anything that you want to discuss further. We can break anything around your ideas. We're always inspired.
I love that. Thank you so much for having me back and for the invitation to come back.
Oh, always. And obviously,
That's good.
thank you to everyone who tuned in today as well to see you. It obviously means a lot to me, and it must mean a lot to you.
Definitely does.
Of course, if you guys liked this video, please give us a like. We obviously will be posting more videos. We try to post twice a month, and if you want to see those, give us a subscribe because we have fun here. I think Tumi could say we have fun here.
We do. It's always nice to be with you.
Oh, perfect. See, endorsements. That's what counts, guys. Well then, perfect. Till the next episode then. Bye, guys.